Good afternoon, sports fans from all around the globe. From Cape Cod to Cancun, from Vegas to the Vatican. I am your co host today, Jeff Dawson of East Coast Sports Investors and the Breakfast Bankroll. Today, we will have our co host come in and we're going to talk some dividends that are being paid off right now from the All Star trades. We're going to get deep into today's market, look at some pitfalls, or like we like to say, quicksand Sunday, and just talk about the sports market today in the MLB. So without further ado, our man from Tampa himself, the Palm Tree State, the one and only Scott E. Webb. Scotty, my brother, what is up?
Morning, Jeffrey. How are you this morning? How was the golf trip?
It was interesting. We will talk at length about that probably after the show. No, but all is well. We survived, and we're here today, August 1st, where a lot of people, once this day hits, is in full football mode as the Hall of Fame game will be coming up real soon, and the start of the NFL preseason games. There it is right there. But we haven't talked in a couple days, and I don't want to jam up the show today with the all-star trades. We had talked at length leading up to the trade deadline, expectation needs, and what teams needed to do, and what some did, and what some didn't. And we've already seen some dividends. Rizzo is a changed man with a couple homers, and I think he's 4 for 5, and he has 2 walks. Javier hit a homer for the Mets yesterday. But your big claim to fame, I have to hats off, was talking about Toronto and the fact that they desperately needed a pitcher, and they got probably the second best pitcher out there with Jose Berrios. Very surprised that the Rockies decided to keep Marquez and John Gray. But let's turn it over to you. Your thoughts from the trades. You can, take a bow on the Blue Jays. They are now back at home as well, and they're revitalized. It's kind of the perfect storm for them. They got KC. They've beaten up on them the first 2 days, as well as the Yankees got the Marlins, and they've sweated out a couple games. But the stage is yours, Scotty.
Yeah, I think that that was a furious end of the baseball trading deadline time, and we had talked about how that was going to be the case. I was a little bit intrigued at how some of it went down. I'm surprised at what the Dodgers brought in. I mean, the Dodgers get Scherzer and they get Trey Turner. Not sure exactly how that's going to work out. I mean, Turner's going to play second base, I guess, when Seager gets back or something like that. Or when Seager's back now and then Trey Turner gets it. But, everybody keeps talking about the Dodgers and they haven't caught anybody yet. But, I mean, if you look at their guys that are injured, they got an all-star team on the injured list. So I mean, it's not, it's the Dodgers division to lose. Let's just put it that way. And I know that they're not in the top spot yet, but it's an amazing thing how certain things happen. And then I also think that some of these teams really did some weird things. Nothing against the Red Sox, but I didn't think the Red Sox did a whole lot, and I thought they could have. And I think that when you got the Rays and the Yankees right behind you, so to speak, and I know the Yankees are a little further back, but when you got the Rays there, the Blue Jays, and they're all chasing you down. If you don't have the pitching to hold up, it isn't going to hold up. And I know they're probably holding a lot of water with Sale, but I'm not sure they did the right thing there. But again, these teams look forward to years in advance, not just the years that they have. So, maybe they're keeping some things and building some other stuff for some other times. And that's the other part of it. So Trevor Story didn't get traded. That doesn't mean he won't. And he'll probably get traded in the off season and some other things that'll happen. I just think that I think that it's just a weird breakdown of how it all happened. But I also think that I, I'm not this biggest Yankees fan in the world or any Yankees thing in the world anyway. But to be able to bring in Rizzo and to bring in Gallo and then to bring in Andrew Heaney and not go over the luxury tax and stay where they were wanting to stay, and they didn't give up their best players. I didn't think they did a bad job. I think that the Dodgers did great. I didn't think the Giants did bad. I mean, they bring in Chris Bryant. They don't have a whole lot to offer for the Giants. So I thought they did good there. I think the Padres probably missed out on some opportunities, and now with Tatis being down and possibly being out for the rest of the year, that's going to make an interesting race over there because the Reds are only 4 games behind the Padres in the wild card race. So all this stuff we've been talking about with the National League West just locking things up. Having a injured player like that can affect that race. So I didn't think the Mets did enough. I mean, the Mets are going to need pitching. You saw what happened to Carrasco. I mean, he pitched 3-4 innings when he went out. I know they got Baez or whatever, but they don't need another hitter. They need pitchers. They got a setback with Jacob deGrom, and they don't have Noah Syndergaard. And now I think Taijuan Walker's not been the same at the beginning of the season as he was. I don't think the Mets are in the greatest of spot, and they could have done a lot of it to help them out, even though they got Baez. I thought the White Sox did okay, even though they didn't go out and do anything crazy. Boy, they shored up that bullpen, and that's what they need. And I keep talking about the White Sox just because when you get them in a series, I don't know, it's going to be tough. The Yankees still don't have anybody behind Cole, so the pitching is what's going to win in the fall, not the hitting. And if they can pitch, that'll be great. So it's interesting. I looked at Fangraphs today, and one of the things that has changed since all that went down is they have the Red Sox still winning the American League East with 94 wins. They have the Rays at 93 wins and the Yankees at 90 wins. And what's interesting is that the Oakland A's now have 89 wins. So that means you're looking at Rays and Yankees as what they believe. So I went over to Baseball Perspective and tried to see if the prospectus PECOTA numbers were any different. And I'm going to be honest, they're all the same. They say the exact same thing. So this might be a good time to bet on the Oakland A's, Jeff. I mean, these models and the predictions and all that stuff. You got to catch them first, and they're 2.5 games behind them now. After this series is over with the Marlins, I think the Yankees play the Orioles. So they might get right there, and then we'll see what happens. I don't know. It'll be interesting. The American League East is wide open. The White Sox are going to win by far, and the Astros are going to win. I don't think anybody's going to catch the Brewers. The damn Reds keep winning, but so do the Brewers. And then, you got the big three out in the West Coast with the Dodgers really, really supplanting anything. I saw a thing that said their payroll is now $250 million. And the next closest one is the Yankees at 202. And then you've got the next bunch under 200, and the Cleveland Indians are at 47 million. So how do you expect a team that pays a team $47 million pays their players to compete with a team that pays them $250 million?
My overview in a nutshell: the Yankees get Gallo, and somehow Texas agrees to pay the rest of the salary. Okay. They know, and the whole world knew, that Rizzo was the perfect fit. I mean, it answers first base. It gets the lefty bat. I was shocked and infuriated when they come in and then they get Rizzo. And just miraculously, the Cubs are paying the rest of that for the year, too. So I don't know if there's some winks and, hey, we'll take care of you somewhere down the line. So those are the first two. The Padres, in my mind, really got railroaded because not Heyman, one of the other writers writes, Padres, Nationals real close. Max going to the Padres. The Circa took down the 9 and 10-1 on the Padres to win the World Series and dropped it to 6-1. And then I honestly think the Dodgers came in and says, okay, what do you want for Trey Turner and Max Scherzer? Now, this was before the Tatis injury now. So, I mean, the Padres don't need Trey Turner. I mean, so they were just concentrating on Max. So income, again, they're printing money. And I actually saw 293 on the Dodgers, their payroll after everything's said and done. So and what really blows my mind is the Nationals. Why are you trading Trey Turner? You got Soto. You have Trey Turner. You want to trade Max? Go ahead. Please trade Max. But you got two great building blocks. I mean, there's not many 5-tool players like Trey Turner in the MLB. So the rich get richer there. I think the Red Sox got porked. They got some young guys that they don't want to give up. They're a year ahead. They didn't want to go over the payroll tax. They've wanted Schwarber now for a couple years. So I don't mind the Schwarber deal. I know the injury is a little deeper than ones want to talk about. I'm hoping he's ready for September 1st. And yes, you are correct. They are putting a lot more stock in the Chris Sale coming back. So in their eyes, they brought Durant up. They brought Houck up. They're getting Chris Sale. And they got Schwarber. So they think in their eyes they did enough. I honestly thought they could have backdoored a deal late, call up the Padres, say, hey, you take half of the Hosmer deal, we'll take the other half. And you could have moved Hosmer to first base. But they didn't even do that deal. So that's it in a nutshell. And like I said, Rizzo is being Rizzo. I mean, and it's killing me now in the Yankee uniform. But it is what it is. We'll go to yesterday's market. Favorite 6-9, overs 8-5-2. Some big dogs cash. Pirates 167, Braves 129, Rockies plus 173, Angels plus 137, Rangers plus 123, Indians plus 142, Twins plus 118. Definitely some nice dogs yesterday. I think a lot of people that went to the Cleveland and White Sox game weren't expecting a 12-11 game for sure. We talked about that back end now where you got Kimbrel, you got Hendricks, you got Kopech. I mean, you're going to have to be leading this team in the 5th, 6th inning come playoff time to beat that team. But interesting as it is, and today is Sunday, we call it Quicksand Sunday, and for ECSI, it's Sunday Fun Day, and we put together our nice little action parlay. For the week, we are 8-3. We ended the month, Scotty, 29-15 in the MLB, so we had an amazing run. And today's board is filled with what we call landmines. I have a few games that I was just going to bring up that are interesting. Gutierrez has not been well for Cincinnati, but they can score a lot of runs. We saw some steam on the Mets overnight. The big thing on social media is Anderson for the Brewers, who has struggled mightily of late and has struggled a lot against the Braves. And there was a lot of steam on them. Opened at 135, now at 166. Pitch and change for the Padres. Gomber, is hit or miss. But that 35-cent move was on the pitch and change. Some big favorites with the Dodgers and the debut of Berrios with Toronto today. Further down the board, I don't understand your first place Tampa Bay Rays and a 40-cent overnight move there with McClanahan versus Pavetta. Sox trying to avoid the sweep. I can't imagine talk radio on Monday if they do get swept here. Nice matchup with the Yankees and Alcantara. And again, the Houston-San Fran series has been great. Basically a pick 'em there with Garcia and Webb. The stage is yours, Scotty. Anything out there particularly grab your eye?
Well, let me just touch on a couple of things you said about some of these games that you were talking about there, and the Gutierrez and Mets Stroman matchup. I don't really have a lot of interest there. Gutierrez just um, he's not very good. He doesn't strike anybody out. Gives up lots of hits, and the numbers are where they are. And the Mets, if you're going to bet it, you're going to bet the bets, or you're going to bet over. And then all of a sudden you bet over, and Stroman goes out there and gives up one hit or something. So I don't really want to deal with that game that much. That Milwaukee game was kind of interesting to me in a sense that Anderson has been a game score 46 for the entire season. So we talked about that all year. 50s average. So he's below average. He's not very good. But over his last 7 starts, he's right at average. And over his last 3 starts, he's been almost ace, like 59. Now, that doesn't mean he's any good. It just means that he's had a good little run. So does that mean that we should be betting on Anderson? I don't think so. But Charlie Morton's hit or miss, and he's been pretty good as of late. His last 7 starts, game score 60. So that's what he was when he was with the Rays, and that's what he was when he was with Houston. I mean, he's pitching really good, and he's had a rough start to the beginning of the season. So I can understand some of the movement that's happening there. The Toronto game is interesting to me because I don't think Barrios, even though that he's in his first start for Toronto, is in a good spot. The reason I say that is just because he didn't get in last night till real late. So they didn't even know if he was going to be able to start today because of the time frame that he got in, just coming in from the trade. So starting pitchers are kind of weird in a sense that they go through all the emotions of habit. And now his habit has changed. And not only has it changed, he didn't get in town and he didn't do some stuff. I would almost look to that game in a different way than betting on Toronto, because Brad Keller, the pitcher for Kansas City, was one of my favorite pitchers last year. Nobody really knew who he was. He's a big ground ball guy. All he does is throw pitches, and the guys hit him on the ground. But this year, he's had so much trouble. He's just been really, really bad, except for his last 4 starts. He's turning things around. He's got a game score 67. His last start was a 65, and then a 61, a 76, and a 59. He's pitching really good. His strikeout rate has gone up. His ground ball rate is 53%. So he's doing everything he's supposed to do now, and I would bet that game under. Now, I know that I think that when I was looking at it earlier, they had Robbie Ray listed at the very beginning of the day, and it changed around a little bit. And it went at one time I saw it at 9.5, and then I'm ready to bet it, and it was down to 8 or 8.5 or something. And I think a lot of that has to do with Barrios being there. But Robbie Ray is a better pitcher right now than what Barrios is. I'm looking at numbers. So I was intrigued with that game and betting it under. Is it still 8 or is it 8.5, Jeff?
I'm seeing 8.5 across the Vegas Strip.
And you're looking at a team in Toronto that can hit, but that just is a game that intrigued me. If I was going to do anything, I'd put a little pizza money on that game and play it under, just because I think that you're going to get good performance out of Keller. He's been hit by Toronto in the past, but I think that he's found something there. And then I think Barrios is Barrios. He's going to be a tough kid pitcher. But you got to remember, coming from the Twins, that's another one of those spots where Kansas City sees him all the time. It's not like they're going to be afraid of Barrios. So I don't know. It's just a bad spot, I think, for him in this particular game. It might not even be a bad spot to take a flyer on the Royals, to be honest. And then the one game that I really liked that I actually bet, and I bet on the Houston Astros today, and I got them at even money. And I think they're slight dogs now, or not slight dogs, but like plus 105 or somewhere in that neighborhood. I'm betting on Garcia tonight because of what he didn't do the last time. He's been really, really good, and his numbers reflect that. His season is a game score of 57. His last 3 starts is a game score of 59, but his last start was a 39. So guys, when they have a outlier performance like that, and they're on the bad side, you can expect them to progress to get back to that bar that they normally have. And I'm expecting him to pitch pretty well. And Webb, we talked about him the last time because they were playing the Dodgers, and we got a good result with him. We played him under in that game, and I think it was 2-1 or something like that was the final score of that game. He threw a game score 69 against the Dodgers. So that's his rival game. That's his big game he wants to get up for. This is a spot where he's in a letdown spot, and I like Houston today, and I put some money on that game.
It's an intriguing board. It's a double-edged sword in regards to it's the first day of the month. It's August 1st, so people in our lanes can now turn the page. I've seen a lot of people in our industry actually wave the white flag. They just been getting beat up in baseball and basically said enough's enough, no mas, and basically getting ready for football where we understand here. It's just a daily grind. It's numbers, it's matchups, it's a lot of work behind the scenes. But that's the challenge. Football season, listen, I'm not saying anything about football season. It's a great, the books, the casinos love it. We talk about, everyone's got a favorite team. Everyone knows everything when actually everyone knows nothing. Mm-hmm. And the fact is, it's predicated on the weekend for the most part. You got the huge slate on Saturday, the 100 games, and then you got the NFL on Sunday. Then you sprinkle in the Monday game, and then as the season gets going, you get some Tuesday, Wednesday MAC action, and of course you got the Thursday nights. Here in baseball, I think a lot of it is laziness. A lot of it is the fact that it's a long game. If you're not ready to put in 3.5 hours to watch a game, they want that instant gratification. They want the action, and there's so much more to it. And if you're getting beat up by the back ends and the bullpens, well, there's other ways around that. There are first 5 opportunities. There are team totals. There are under-overs that you talked about. Again, I just think it's pure laziness on most people. I mean, it's easy to just grab a couple favorites and, put them all together and, shake them up and pray. The parlay scenes are getting so shined by the media, the social media, the Twitters of the world. These startup companies want to attract the degens. They want to attract the public. And how do they do it? They show the 6, 8, 9, 10, 12 legged parlays, $5 making 5, 10, 15, 20 grand, which there is 999 of those losing $5 parlays, but we only saw the one winning parlay. With that said, Scotty, if you had to, you talked about Houston today. If we were to just throw in a quick lightning round here now for the people watching for Sunday, is there any other games that caught your attention?
Yeah, there's one other game, and then I wanted to piggyback on what you said just a minute ago. And it didn't work out for us the last time that we tried this, but I'm going to try it again today. And I don't bet on Baltimore, and I said that the last time, and I went and said put pizza beer money on it, so it's not a lot of money. But I like them in this spot today against the Detroit Tigers. Now, the Detroit Tigers we talked about, they were on a big run. Now they're not. So they're not running anymore, and they got one of their worst pitchers going out there, Alexander. Alexander is an opener type guy. He's only going to go 3 or 4 innings. But you're supposed to be good in those 3 or 4 innings, and he's just not. He's got a Sierra number of 5.91, an XFIP number of 6.44. He strikes out 14% of the guys. So there's going to be lots of contact and lots of opportunities for Baltimore to do some stuff, and the line didn't make enough sense. I mean, I get it that the Baltimore might lose 100 games or whatever it is, and Detroit won't lose 100 games. But should Detroit really be a minus 130 favorite over hardly anybody? I don't think so, and especially with their worst pitcher throwing. So I kind of like the idea that Watkins is well, I guess he's not the best pitcher on Baltimore right now. I can't believe it that. The Dark Knight has returned, and he has 18 plus innings of scoreless pitched baseball right now. Unbelievable.
And John Means actually looks like he's back in form as well.
But
and quick little funny here. I thought Detroit was pitching Doyle Alexander today, not T. Alexander.
Right. Well, that's my thought. I'm like, I don't, you look at the numbers on the pitchers and you see how they're throwing, and one of the things that's a differentiator for me is WPA. We've talked about it a little bit. WPA is win percentage added, and again, I look at it on a course of 30 days, and it tells you how a guy does in clutch moments and keeps the team winning versus not keeping a team winning. So you can have a guy that's got a really bad earned run average, but if he's really great in those clutch moments, he keeps his team from losing. And that's who cares? You just want to bet on those guys, right? So Watkins is a positive number. Alexander's a negative number. Plus, he's got bad results. So I kind of like the idea that Baltimore might be able to do something here. It's a Sunday game, so who knows? I like that one. The other thing I was going to piggyback to talk to you about was when you talk about trying to figure out how to beat baseball and laziness, keep track of not necessarily what you bet, but how you bet. So if you're betting and you're losing a lot of full game results, or you're betting on home teams, or you're betting on away teams, or you're betting first fives and whatever, betting underdogs, favorites, whatever it is, keep track of them, of the minuscule departments of what you're doing, because the departmentalized results are going to gear you towards a trend you want to do. So if you're running into and you talked about it being laziness, it is, and baseball's not a sport that you can beat being lazy. Football is a sport. I don't want to say you have to be lazy or not lazy to win. It's got the toughest lines available, so you got to be sharp. But at the same time, baseball, you have to read into emotions and things that change daily. Football, they have week to week, and you got to listen to reports and injuries, and is this guy motivated? Is that guy beating up his girlfriend or whatever? So it's a whole different dynamic, and I think that when you talk about betting baseball, to try to win in betting baseball, you're not going to win every week. You're just not. You had a great month, and you're not always going to win every month, but that doesn't mean you can't win the year, and it doesn't mean that if you do win the year, you don't win it big. You win it small. It doesn't matter. You win small, you win big. You just stay in the game and play and enjoy the time that you have, and then make your money when you can. It's take advantage of your opportunity when your opportunity comes. And if you're not ready because you were lazy, then you're going to have the window open and you don't go through it. And that's where the problem comes. And then you start to chase, and all these guys see those parlay cards you talked about and parlay winning tickets and all that stuff. It's just, and I'm just be honest, most of the tickets you see are all bull crap anyway, especially from the online people. They're made up tickets. They're not even real. They're tickets that they get a screen print and then they do their little editing and do whatever. And holy crap, there they are. It's just like those girls on Instagram.
And that's the sad part. And it sells. In a little debate with not a debate, a gentleman that I won't even give him the privilege to throw his name out here, is going to be a new startup again, gaming and fantasy. And he asked what was some of the biggest questions or reasons, the concerns that people have. And I wrote him a small little book. I says, falsifying records, 5, 10, 15, 20 unit plays versus a 1 unit play. And I put it all together, and someone followed right up on it. And they talked about, bringing people to the window. And then his reply, he just skips over my answer. And his reply was, well, that's the nature of what we're trying to do. Anyone can go grab 10 props and 8 of them are the over. Everyone knows. And, there's no unders ever on social media betting, unders on props. Why would you want to bet an under on a prop when you're watching the game? You're rooting for them to score. But here, what I'll close here with this is, April comes. It's the start of baseball season. You're into the full games. You're not sure of the bullpens, the teams, the structure, the chemistry, yada yada yada. You get through April. You're into May. You're tinkering. This is working. This isn't working. So what do we do then? Well, maybe, we try to dabble on some team totals. Maybe some numbers are off, and really started clicking for us into June, when we just decided to say, hey, you know what? We've gotten enough bad beats in the back ends. Let's start looking more into the team totals. Let's start looking more into the first 5. And what the first 5 it does is this, Scotty, for us at least, is if a pitcher is minus 180, okay. Well, actually, let me take it a step back. Okay. When you're looking at these spreadsheets that we have here, you're looking at the starting pitching. So those odds most of the time are predicated on the 2 starters. So if you have a great starter and a bad back end, and the bridge guy and the closer just pitched two days in a row and he's off, those numbers aren't predicated for that. So you're not getting the true value on some of these starting pitching. So then you go to the first 5. Well, I'm not going to lay a 180 or a 190, but you can get into those by minus the half run, minus 120, 125. Yes, if it's tied, you lose. But the point of it is, you're getting what you're wagering or investing on is the starting pitcher. You're going to most likely get him for that first 5. And as long as they're winning by a run or more, you're going to be able to cash a ticket. And you're not going to be able to get into that game, is, I guess, part of my point here. We're not going to be playing minus, 210s, 220s. But, hey, minus a half run, first 5, minus 125, there is value there. The teams like the Brewers with the strong back ends, the teams like the White Sox with the strong back ends. Well, maybe it's not worth that swing because you're giving away some of your advantage. But these numbers are not based on that. They're based on the starting pitching.
Yeah, I have 2 different thoughts there. The first thought is I agree with you that first 5s and on the run line are not terrible plays, and that opens the door for you, especially if you really like a bigger favorite that is at home, because now you don't have to worry that they're going to get their 5th at bat. You don't have to lose that, and you lose that in the full game. So I'm always cautious there, and the other side of that is that that first 5 innings matchup is do you really, I guess the better way to say it is, how many people when they do these games, do they really handicap the bullpen? Because I don't really think many people do, right? So yes, you're in a spot where you have the starting pitcher. They're going to be the majority of what you're betting on. You need to look at the offense, but you also need to look at the relief pitching and who's available. Mm-hmm. And the truth of the matter is that every team has their 9th inning guy, their 8th inning guy, and their 7th inning guy. That guy that pitches the 5th and the 6th and whatever innings, those guys can get hit. And if the guys that pitched the 7th, 8th, and 9th inning were just all used up, boy, you're in trouble, because you might as well bet those games over. You got nobody to stop anybody in the backside when your starter's gone. So if there's 13 guys on a pitching staff, you're going to have your top 5 guys, and they're going to start the games. So the next 8 guys are the next 8 worst. Now your closer guy's a guy who's going to go out there and throw 100 miles an hour or whatever, and he can only throw for an inning. So then you kind of have to figure out who kind of fits in those shells in between. So now you've got the worst 7 guys are going to come in behind that first starter. But if you have the best of those 7 guys available, you're in pretty good shape. But if you don't have those guys available, you're going to get killed. And that's where when you handicap these games, that can be a big aid and a big help to you, especially on totals, not necessarily on wins and losses, because some of these guys wake up and their arm fell off and they can't throw very well. Or on the other guy, he's like, holy crap, he's just pitching his arm off. A great game, and it was a once in like, it's just like what Harvey's doing for the Orioles right now. I mean, what happened to him? He got hit in the head or got hit by lightning, and all of a sudden he can pitch.
I was shocked. I talked to a couple people on social media, and I'm kind of surprised some teams didn't pick up on that. And you could have got him for dirt cheap, I would have assumed. And he had been pitching a lot better. And like you said, 18 straight innings now without giving up a run. So, the Sox last couple second moves to get a couple arms was kind of a weak effort. But I thought you could have got someone with some experience. Maybe Baltimore didn't want to trade in the division, which I don't think at this point really matters. The fact that Means looks like he's back. He's pitched well his last couple starts. It's a team that I wish would get its shit together. I really do. It's a team that I've always enjoyed way back in the day. The glory years with Palmer and Flanagan and McGregor's and the Cal Ripken runs. And they got one of the most beautiful ballparks in the game. And just to be, 30, 35 games back, pretty disappointing there. But listen, geez, we're 40 minutes later and we could talk for another 2 hours today. It's been great. It really has. Enjoyed catching back up with you. We'll be back here tomorrow and Tuesday with Mr. Webb. We're going to start really diving into, the market. We'll do the recaps like we have been doing. We're going to start to sprinkle in some football soon, some NFL, some NCAF, the potential of myself and Scott putting together a podcast maybe early in the weeks for the fall on the actual real opening numbers that come out Sunday at 11 a.m. for Circa, where these sharp guys that can bet 1 or 2 dimes on these games are getting the real number at 4, and they're moving it to 6, 6.5. So by the time the public sees it, it's a whole different ball game, and that's on Monday morning, usually Monday afternoons. And by the time the game kicks off, it's Saturday. It's been picked through a million times. But I think it would be fascinating for the public, especially, to be able to get inside there and actually see the number that it really is versus the number that you're actually betting, Scotty.
Yeah, I think too, one of the greatest tools that nobody really delves into is the look ahead number. I mean, you can bet these games a week or 2 ahead, and if you really kind of then look at, okay, what was the number last week, and then what's the number when it opens on Sunday, or even Saturday night or whatever. What's that number, and then all of a sudden you can start analyzing the moves and why it moved. And then you can read into, was it a public move? Was it a hype move? Was it this guy's leg fell off? Was it, whatever. So it's all of the different things that go into that. And what's unique about football compared to baseball, or even compared to basketball, football, you got all week to start figuring out what's going on and what's happening. It gives it time to build up a monetary amount of money that's been put on these games then it starts to give exposure and risk to the books. So they got to start moving numbers around. And then it's always about, okay, well, why did they move this? And why did they move that? And what did they do here? And then, on my side, it's always, I still got the analytical side that I still handicap the teams. So it's always a mesh and all of that. And I think between the two of us, Jeff, we're going to be able to provide something that many football bettors are going to be interested in, between what we talk about and then how the analytics kind of plays a little bit of a role, and then all of that blended together, because I'm going to be way more into the line movements and stuff like that as well as football comes.
All right. So from Cape Cod to Tampa to Vegas and the Vatican, another day, another week has ended. A new month has arrived. So if you are wagering today, always bet with your head, not your heart. If you have a problem, just reach out. There's phone numbers out there. Reach out to someone. So from myself and Scotty, hope everyone has a blessed day. Cash some tickets, and we will see you tomorrow.